All right, so what we have here is the CRISP DM methodology. So this methodology is a high-level methodology or framework that outlines the steps that we take when we do a data analytics project. So we begin with a business understanding. So what we do is we seek to look at the business processes, the decision making, the business domain and the problem domain to better understand the problems that we're trying to solve through our data. So what we do is we begin with that understanding the business, and we then move to understanding the data. So the data that we're going to be using with our a better understanding of the business context, we can evaluate that data to understand that data. Now you'll note that there's a double arrow between the business understanding and the data understanding. That means as we understand the data, or as we are investigating the data, we'll have more questions that we need to answer by a better understanding of the business. This is our context in which the data resides. So we're going to be going back and forth, looking at the data, saying, oh, what does this mean? Going back to get a better understanding of the context of that through our business understanding, and then moving on to the data to get more investigation done so that we really understand the data that we're using, as well as what that data means. So with that, both understanding of the business and the data, we can move on to the next step. The next step is data preparation. Now, data preparation is where we prepare the data for analysis. There's a lot of manipulations of the data that we need to do, maybe additional fields that we need to add, maybe some cleanup. There's a lot of work quite often that needs to take place in the data. And that's with preparing the data typically represents about 80% of the time on a data analytics project. So there's a considerable amount of work here to prepare the data for analysis so that we can apply that data to our different analysis tools and methods. So that is a significant effort, and one that you would need to plan for in your data analytics projects. So with that data preparation, once the data is prepared, we can move on to modeling the data. So when we're modeling the data, we're trying to find some insight that we can glean from that data. So we will be performing different forms of analysis, applying different analysis methods to get some new insight on the data. And again, data analytics means that that insight is going to be some type of action-oriented insight, that there's a purpose behind our understanding or getting new information from the data. So new knowledge so that we can do new things. That's really the purpose here. But as we're modeling that data, we'll find that we have additional data preparation that needs to take place because we can't do all of our modeling with the data in its current state. So we'll have to go back and do some additional preparation work, and then go back to our modeling. So this is iterative here, back and forth, modeling, going back and making some more refinements to our data so we can continue to model, and so forth. Now, once we have our model all set, then we're going to go down and evaluate that model. So we're evaluating the model to see if that model is actually representing our business understanding and our data understanding, and that the model makes sense, and it's complete, and it actually answers the questions that we're out to set out to answer. Now, if we find that there's gaps, we would then go back to our business understanding and start the cycle again. So business understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluating. So we go through this over and over until we are very satisfied with our evaluation, that our evaluation properly represents our business understanding with the data that we have access to, and it's going to provide some type of new insights that can be actionable. Once we have that good model, we're satisfied with the model, now we can move on to deployment. So for data science projects, this typically means some type of developing an automated process or some type of systems that will be an implementation of our model. Now, for data analytics projects, that really is more around the decision making. So our deployment in data analytics projects is going to be developing means to properly communicate the results so that we can accurately convey the findings from our model, so that we can so that the people that need to know, our stakeholders that need to know this new information, will understand it properly, and it will be such that they will be able to make decisions based on the findings from our analysis. So that's, in data analytics terms, that's what we mean by deployment. Now, when that's is deployed, there might be additional insights that we need to go back to and revise the model again. So that's why this is a completely iterative process. It's not once you deploy it, once you communicate it, you're done. There might be additional insight that we're going to be looking for in this model, so we can expand on it or maybe improve it by going back and starting the cycle over again. So that's why it's a completely iterative process. So the development of the model and evaluation is an iteration, as well as the complete process is also an iteration. So this is the CRISP DM methodology that we use in our data analytics projects.